Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, level check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Level check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I can count to 9. If you're listening, getting ready for the 7:15 live streaming weather show, I'm just doing a microphone check, checking up all the different platforms. YouTube's up and running. Facebook is up and running. Roku is up and running. So is our weather app, the news app, our website. Samsung TV's up and running. So however you normally see it, if you're already looking at it or waiting, you should hear my voice, and we'll be with you in just under a minute. Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer in the Streaming Weather Center at Fox 19 now. It is 7:15, and it is time for the live 7:15 weather show that we do every Monday through Friday at 7:15. We also have versions of this on the weekend. We have one that airs at 10 a.m., or I'm sorry, 10:15 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday with Anna Duvall, and with meteorologist Aaron Ashley. We have one that airs at 6 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. And excuse me, every once in a while, my sinuses have decided to go crazy today, so I'm having a little bit of problem there. So if I pause, it's because I don't know if I'm going to start gagging or what. You know how that goes. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this time lapse that is behind me here. And what you're going to see here is as it goes to full screen. And why is it not? Oh, there we go. Now it's going to full screen. That we had a day when we had a few showers, we had some blue sky, we had all kinds of clouds, and as of 7:16, it is a cloudy evening around the tri-state. Okay, so it is a first alert weather day. Strong storms, and as far as the strong storms go, we've pretty much minimized that. As this thing evolved and developed, it looked like more like a few heavy downpours, looked like some lightning and thunder, a lot of lightning and thunder as a matter of fact. But it didn't look like wind or large hail that defines severe weather. So we don't expect it to be, and there'll be impressive storms, a lot of thunder and lightning, maybe a bit of a breeze, but everything will stay sub-severe. A flood watch in effect for everybody in green there. Now that's from Hamilton County southward and Hamilton County eastward to the west and to the north. The counties that are not shaded in are not under the flood watch. And it does look like we're going to see quite a bit more rain coming into the tri-state. Now that expires at midnight. Okay, so Friday, some localized flooding is possible only in the early morning hours, and then later on Friday, it does begin to improve. Okay, so we're thinking that there will be some pop-up showers and thunderstorms, but nothing widespread. Most of the rain and most of the chance of flooding is in the morning from what happens overnight. Saturday, a localized flooding risk. Sunday, a localized flooding risk also, as a very warm and humid air continues over the tri-state. Okay, so here is what the dew points look like. Now remember, we looked at these every day this week, and they were never this low. But 78 is not unprecedented, but a really rare high dew point temperature. That occurs on Sunday, and that means there's a lot of moisture in the air. That's why we expect some flooding. The dew points of 68 and 70 for Monday and Tuesday are because slightly drier, cooler air has worked its way in and then back into the sticky 70s as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. And the heat index values are going to respond. The heat index of only 75 on Saturday is because of thick cloud cover and rainfall. We make it back into the mid-80s for Sunday and Monday. The low 90s with a few spots getting close to 100 for the heat index on Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday, 99 to 100, 100 to 105 on Thursday. So we still have the heat in the forecast. It's just that the heat is coming in a little bit more slowly. Okay, so what you're looking at here, that big green area, is the flood watch that's in effect. There are no flood warnings in effect, no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect in the Fox 19 Now viewing area. And you can see more rain on its way into the tri-state, and you can see quite a bit of lightning also, okay? Now, if we zoom out and look at a wider view here, you can see there's rain all the way out to the Mississippi River. And if you take this particular map scale, look at the number of lightning strikes in the last 30 minutes, 1,145. Now, that's lower than before. Just about an hour ago, it was over almost 4,000 lightning strikes in a half an hour for this whole map. Excuse me, I told you that this might happen. So things are beginning to settle down. One of the driving forces of the rain today and the thunderstorm activity was the heating of the day, and that's beginning to settle down now. Some of the storms are beginning to rain themselves out, run over air that's already cooler, and that all has an effect at calming it down. And that chance of a severe watch, 5%, was from earlier. It was a convective outlook put out by the Storm Prediction Center, and they said, look, these might be impressive thunderstorms, but to get a severe thunderstorm, you've got to have gusty winds close to 60 miles an hour, and you've got to have hail of an inch in diameter or larger, and neither of those is in the forecast. And in fact, the winds just aren't right for there to be a lot of spin up either. So the threat of severe weather was very low. It's just going to be rain and lots of lightning. Now remember, even if a storm is not severe, it's got dangerous lightning, and to me, lightning is probably the most dangerous part of any thunderstorm. So we zoom in here, and so just in this area, in the last 30 minutes, there have been 504 lightning strikes. And notice how a lot of the rain is now backing off to that green, meaning lighter rainfall rather than the really torrential rain. And so things are not as energetic as they were a couple hours ago. We're going through the typical daily cycle of storms, pop up during the heat of the day, and they begin to rain themselves out. They kind of spread cooler air over the landscape, and they lose the heating of the day, and they die down. And that's what's happening right now. Okay, the heaviest rainfall, though, we're going to zoom in on that, runs from north of Columbus, Indiana, there along the interstate. And okay, now you might have heard my phone just beep there. I'll tell you what that is in just a second. It is a new flood advisory, and I will we'll work on it and get a look at it here in just a minute. But the heavy rainfall runs through the Batesville area. It's closing in on Lawrenceburg and Greendale there in northern, it says it crosses northern parts of Dearborn County and will make its way into western Hamilton County soon. But it does look like, even though we've got a lot of rain out there, like we're going to dry out. We'll still have some rain for the morning commute, but it doesn't look to be one of those widespread issues. So that heavier rainfall as it heads northeastward, it was supposed to make it to Batesville by 7:56. Well, it's already kind of there. And I tell you what, let me do this. Let me fix that because I set that up earlier and I forgot to reset it before we did the show. Okay. So I just go into the weather computer. I select the tool here, and the tool will do this. And we will, okay, so now the timing on this is that rain makes it into Harrison by 7:40, so in about 20 minutes. 8:05 into Colerain Township, the city of Hamilton by 8:35, 9 o'clock straight up in Goshen, 9:26 in Blanchester. And so it is moving eastward, but it is weakening as it heads eastward. So by the time it gets over to Goshen, it may be just a few scattered showers around the area. Okay, so now we put that back into motion, and you can see the motion of it. Now, one of the things that, as a meteorologist that does a lot of what we call nowcasting, okay, nowcasting is what's happening now. I didn't know how to, it's pretty obvious. Forecasting is for the future. Nowcasting is what's happening now and in the next few minutes. Obviously, if you say, oh, this thunderstorm in 10 minutes is going to be to Blanchester, that's in the future. But when we talk about what's happening now and in the next little while, we call that nowcasting. That's what we do for the Reds a lot. Then we do the forecast for them. But while a game's going on and rain threatens, we sit there and we watch radar, we time the cells, and we try to tell them precisely when the rain will begin so they can get the tarp on the field, things like that. And so, as you can see, the rainfall here that's moving through Batesville, look at the lightning. It just kind of falls apart. More of the rain's turning green as far as the radar reflectivity goes, and that means it's lightening up. We're past the peak intensity of this, and it's showing all the signs that you would expect for it to calm down. And remember, no severe thunderstorm warnings with this. We've got impressive thunder, impressive lightning, maybe a little bit of a wind, a torrential downpour, but the biggest threat, of course, is flooding with this. Okay, now here's the model view at 7 p.m., and it's a little bit off, and I'm wondering why it's a little bit off here. It might be because, let's see, somebody may have adjusted it based on what was going on. We can adjust these models, and that looks like, nope, everything's fine. Okay, so the model is just a little bit off. But let's put this model into motion and see what is going to happen here. You see all that rainfall moving north and eastward, and notice how it's weakening and falling apart. There you see 6, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., just a few scattered showers, maybe a brief thunderstorm in the Fox 19 now viewing area. So the morning commute looks like it'll be okay. Won't be completely rain-free, but it won't be a widespread torrential rain episode that slows everybody down. So right now, for your Friday morning commute, things are looking okay. No guarantee, but they're looking okay at this point. Airport temperatures now, look at that, 77 in Chillicothe, Madison 72 because it's raining there. CBG 77 with the rain moving closer and the cool air coming out of the rain. But it's still 85 in Hamilton, 84 in Lebanon and Springboro, Oxford 82, Middleton 84, and the heat index values up to 87 at Lunken, Maysville, and Hamilton, 88 in Portsmouth, and so those are the highest right there. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going to happen. This is what it looks like according to this model, and it's actually doing a pretty good job because you've got to remember this particular model, it's a global model, so it does the entire globe, the entire Earth, and it has to have a coarser resolution because you'd have way too much information to try and do this and get the whole thing calculated. So we've got the rain moving here, we've got our little break, and we've got another batch, so the model's doing a pretty good job with the rainfall. So we go back to full screen, we'll see that everything kind of dies down overnight. Okay, as we head to tomorrow afternoon, it redevelops, but notice it's mainly a light green and there's not much. So we do have showers and thunderstorms in the forecast tomorrow, but not as many. And later in the day, it's going to dry out a little bit right there. As we head into Saturday, looks like Saturday from noon on could be wet in most locations and some of that rain heavy. Sunday, we have the rain lightest and scattered in the morning and then becoming more widespread for the afternoon and evening. On Monday, it's scattered, and on Tuesday, it's also scattered. And then Wednesday, some more shower activity, and we finally begin to move out of the rainy pattern. And just, of course, you see every day has a little bit of rainfall. Heat index values still go up to 100 on this model. But overall, things are looking a little bit better, like we're going to start breaking the pattern a little bit here. Okay, so this Weather Prediction Center says from 8 a.m. Friday to 8 a.m. Saturday, the Fox 19 Now viewing area is under a marginal risk of excessive rainfall. That is elevated from 8 a.m. Saturday to 8 a.m. Sunday to a slight risk of excessive rainfall. And again, they don't think there'll be any severe thunderstorm activity with this. There'll be some lightning, some thunder, some sub-severe wind gusts, but torrential rain is the main worry about this. Okay, then from 8 a.m. Sunday to 8 a.m. Monday, a slight risk. And 8 a.m. Monday to 8 a.m. Tuesday, we're back down to a marginal risk as the weather tries to dry out. So I guess the takeaway from this is, I know all those maps keep rotating on the cube, but the takeaway is that we've got the potential for enough rain for some small scale or localized short duration flooding all the way into Tuesday, and it looks pretty wet for much of the weekend at this point. Okay, as far as the European model goes, it says it's still holding on to just under to just over 2 inches. The highest total you see there we go, is like 2.54 inches over there in Batesville. And so there's the possibility of getting quite a bit of rainfall here. Now, again, the problem with this isn't that, let's say Batavia does get 2.52 inches of rainfall. The problem with this is, even though this goes from today into Monday, that doesn't mean that Batavia gets that rainfall today and a little bit each day till we get into Monday that totals up to 2.52 inches. In this kind of situation where most of the rain's coming down in thunderstorm downpours, they could get that in one afternoon and have very little the rest of the time. And that's why the flood advisory is in effect till midnight, and that's why the Weather Prediction Center has us under a slight to marginal risk of excessive rainfall on into Monday, because these totals, this could all be from one thunderstorm, and then the rest of the time very little. And so it's one of those situations where the individual cells are strong enough to create excessive rainfall, but only in a small area that's part of that cell. And so that's why we have that risk of flooding on into Tuesday. And we're not talking about like the Ohio River flooding. That's a massive undertaking. We're talking about the smaller streams, Little Miami, Ohio Brush Creek, Licking River, some of the creeks around where you live. So any of the spots that in your neck of the woods that are prone to having high water when the rain comes down heavily, even just for a short time, may end up having high water on into Tuesday. Okay? And even though the Storm Prediction Center had us on a level 1 of 5, or a marginal risk of severe storms overnight, everything points to the fact that we are not going to get severe weather. Okay, so sunsets at 9:02. It's 77 right now at the International Airport. We expected it to be 79 by 7 p.m., so we're off by 2 degrees, but it should drop to about 76 by 9, 10, and 11. Overnight, look for low temperatures back down in the low to mid-70s, a very steamy Friday morning with a few showers in the area. And then for Friday, high of 84 degrees, 2 degrees cooler than the normal high, and a little bit warmer than the normal low. So we're going to average out a little bit warmer than normal for the day on Friday. Climate Prediction Center says, now if you were watching yesterday, we looked at this, the core of the warmest air was smaller and it was farther west. Actually, Madison, Indiana is right on the edge of this warmest part of this warmer than normal air. So we've got warm weather. This goes out to the 27th of July. And so we definitely are still in a warm to hot weather pattern. Okay. However, by the time we get to the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, we're still warmer than normal. But look where the core of the warmest air is. It's smaller and it's back out here in the Central Plains. Okay, so that's telling us that we're probably going to see a bit of a cooling trend, and I'll show you the numbers on that in a minute. We're probably going to see a bit of a cooling trend as this pattern develops. And what's really developing, and I've talked about this before a couple weeks ago, looks like this big dome of hot air is reestablishing itself, and it's going to kind of head back to the southwest, establish itself over this part of the United States, and because it's a big ridge of high pressure, the jet stream will do this. Okay, so it'll go like this and come down over us, so we'll be in what we call a northwesterly flow regime. Now, a northwesterly flow regime stays very active. It has many smaller systems. The smaller systems don't have a lot of moisture because they're originating from the plains of Canada where they don't have a lot of moisture. And so we can expect frequent episodes of shower activity as we head into the month of July. So frequent shower activity episodes, but no big storms that sit there for days at a time. So it'll be like showers come through, clears out. Showers come through, it clears out, and it usually brings us adequate moisture. So the takeaway is even though it looks like through the 31st of July it's going to be warmer than normal, the longer term models move this back to the south and west. That puts us with the jet stream coming out of the northwest. And so that says, A, as we head into the middle of the month of July and toward August, it doesn't look like any kind of an extended heat wave is coming our way. And it does not look like a drought is coming our way, because typically these northwest flow situations have just enough moisture to keep plants in that happy. You still may have to water a little bit, but it does not look like at this point a repeat of the drought we had last fall. Okay, and then this graphic that you're going to see, this will be updated tomorrow. Okay, and meteorologist Aaron Ashley, who will be in for me tomorrow, will have this for you. But through the 12th of August, it looks like we stay warmer than normal. And I think what's going to happen, I think when they update this graphic for the 3 to 4 week, what's going to happen is you're going to see a big area, that big area of the dome of hot air is going to be here. The northwesterly flow means we're going to kind of be on the border of normal and warmer than normal, with slightly near normal precipitation also, because that's typically what that northwesterly flow regime brings. As I said, it tries to bring cold air out of Canada, but this time of year stays mainly north. It can't bring a lot of really sticky air like we have right now out of the Gulf of Mexico, so we end up with frequent showers and temperatures about normal or a little bit warmer than normal. That's my guess for what they're going to do tomorrow. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at the precipitation pattern. Okay, from the 23rd to the 27th, we're kind of on the dividing line between a little bit above normal and normal. Notice the dry air out west. As we head toward the 31st, notice drier than normal, a little tongue here of drier than normal. So this little tongue of drier than normal weather moves into the tri-state, so right along the Ohio River. So we're going to be near normal to a little bit drier than normal, and that's consistent with that northwesterly flow regime as it sets up, because we're going to have the hot dome of air pulling back to the west, and it's going to take a while for the northwest flow regime to set up. All right, and then if you look at the Climate Prediction Center's forecast for 3 to 4 weeks, they've got a large area of drier than normal weather off to the southwest. So they're thinking that the hot dome is going to set up, kind of be centered over Texas, or maybe a little bit west, because what happens if that hot dome of air sets up, it's a anticyclone or a high, so it circulates like this. So Texas would be under the hot air, but it would be coming out of the northwest in some parts of this off the mountains, and that would keep it dry, because the air not only comes over the mountains, it sinks. And as air sinks, as it heads down the eastern slopes of the Rockies, it gets compressed and it's warmed, and that creates much drier conditions with lower relative humidity. So here, near the center of the hot dome, here downsloping off the Rocky Mountains, which would compress the air and make it warmer, and that's why. And here for us, kind of hopeful that precipitation-wise will be near normal, which is consistent with that northwesterly flow regime that looks like it's setting up, okay? All right, let's see now. I've kind of lost my place here. Let's go back and let's go to the 7-day forecast. Okay, we're looking at, well, and this is an easy one to talk about, highs in the 80s, lows in the 70s for the next 7 days. Each day will be warm to hot and humid. Each day we'll have some scattered showers and thunderstorms, a few days, a few more than others, okay? So that's the summary of the 7-day forecast. When we go to the beyond the 7-day, or the next 7 day after the 7-day forecast, I want you to notice a couple things. Number one, notice how the heat index values have come down a little bit from what they were. 103 is still a high heat index for Friday the 25th. But into the 90s and tapering off. And look at that, when you get to the Wednesday the 30th, there might be low enough humidity that we actually have a heat index a little bit lower than the high temperature. Okay, but still have a chance of showers. We may have to refine this. We may have to knock some of those days down and knock out the showers. But so it looks like we go from warmer than normal to a bit cooler than normal with the chance of rain continuing. Okay, and here's what that looks like on one graph. The high temperatures peak at 91 on the 25th, that's that Friday, and then cool off to a little bit below normal by the 31st. And the low temperatures do cool off also, but they stop cooling off on this graph at 2 degrees warmer than normal. So if those numbers would work out, if we would be exactly right with a low of 68 and a high of 83 on the 31st, that would be 2 degrees above normal on the low side, 3 degrees below normal on the high side, and that would average out to about a half degree cooler than normal. So we're heading back to temperatures near normal, it looks like, and with that comes less humidity. So let me check Facebook, see what we got. Man, my voice is barely going to make it here. All righty, let's see what we have here from people that are watching. Stephen Bryce Campbell, is there a marginal risk of severe weather on Saturday? Let me see if the Storm Prediction Center has updated it, but there wasn't earlier. Okay, and if you're watching from parts of the southwest part of Franklin County or the northwest part of Ripley County, there's a flood advisory in effect, and I will show you that here in just a minute. Let me check what the latest is from the Storm Prediction Center. No, the new thing for Saturday, wait a minute, let me make sure I've got the right one. Okay. Now, 12Z Friday into 12Z Saturday were just garden variety thunderstorms. There's no marginal risk. And for Saturday itself, the marginal risk just touches us. I'll show you that here again in just a minute. Let me do that right now. So let's all right, if I give you this full screen again, I'm going to stop the program so I can do some stuff by hand. Okay, so I'm going to open up a file. Now, this won't be the right data at the present. I'm going to have to change a couple things on it. So this is the risk of severe weather until 8 a.m. Friday, okay, a level 1 out of 5. And I've already told you there's just no severe weather out there. We just think that it's not going to happen. So I would not worry about severe weather overnight. Okay, so if we take a look at what that says, okay, so that's day 1, which goes until 8 a.m. on Friday. The convective outlook into day 2 is 8 a.m. Friday to 8 a.m. Saturday. And here it is right here. That it's not a now, let's see. I'm going to turn some things off so we don't get confused here. Okay, so this is what it looks like for 8 a.m. into 8 a.m. Friday into 8 a.m. Saturday. There is only that fleshy color you can see there where it says level L0. So that means Friday into Saturday, just some garden variety thunderstorms. Okay, so that's a level 0 out of 5. I'm not going to change that right now. And then if we go to the next day, okay, so I've got to change the day on this. Go to the next day. Okay, this is 12Z or 8 a.m. Saturday into 8 a.m. Sunday. There is indeed a marginal risk of severe weather right here, mainly to the north and west. Okay, so if you're over this way, Clinton, Highland, Adams, Lewis, Mason, Robertson, Bracken, Brown counties, and Clinton County, I think I said, no risk at all. And then parts of Owen, Grant, all of Pendleton looks out of it. Campbell, Claremont, and Warren are in that risk, and this is a slight risk up here. So for us, a level 0 to a level 1 on Saturday. That's 8 a.m. Saturday to 8 a.m. Sunday. Okay, so that answered that question. And the other thing I wanted to show you was, let's go back, I'm going to close this file out and go back to the radar, and we'll see where that flood advisory is that came out while I was talking. So, okay, we'll load up the radar in the background. I'll make it full screen when it comes up. It's loading now. And ever since we went to a cloud version of this, everything takes a lot longer. It's kind of discouraging. Okay, so right there you see the flood watch. That's the big area in green there. And if we take a look at, okay, let me do a box zoom here. And then I'll have to drag it a little bit because I don't do a really good job at box zooms. You can see the rain continues over that. So the next thing we're going to do, so you can see what's going on, we're going to turn off radar and lightning. So there goes the lightning, and there goes the radar. And now I'll do an on-air query for you. And that box pops up, and it's a flood advisory in effect now until 9:30 p.m. for Franklin and Ripley counties. Now you see it does not include Brookville, but it does include Batesville. It includes Nagangard's Corner is not involved, and just the western suburbs of Versailles is involved in that. So northwestern Ripley County, far southwestern Franklin County, in a flood advisory until 9:30 p.m. And remember, what a flood advisory means is that there's been enough rain that there won't be widespread flooding, but be aware that some of those low spots in your neck of the woods that tend to collect water and have high water after a heavy rain may have some of that. Okay, so that is that part. Let's get back to Facebook now. Okay, back to Facebook. Oop, didn't want to do that. All you got to do is hit the right button. All right, so let's, well, it seems like all the, here we go. Now I got it, okay. Jeff Beechler says, this heat and all the rain needs to go, LOL. I agree, I'm done with it. Although as a meteorologist, as a person that likes the outdoors, I like all kinds of weather. But after a while, I'm done with it, so I'm with you. Betty Plyman, I'm not sure how the pronunciation is. How bad is the rain going to be tonight, she says. And well, I think it's beginning to wind down. It's not as bad as it was a little while ago. And you can tell that just by watching the lightning strikes decrease and all that. So it'll be wet. You'll hear some lightning and thunder. There will not be any severe storms the way it's looking. And we're also talking about that rain perhaps causing some flooding in some of the spots, okay? Molly Purcell Pollock says, so far no flash flooding around Pleasant Plain, getting cloudy and looking like rain. Yep. And have I retired yet? Nope, I'm still here. 28th of August right now is scheduled to be my last day. Okay, and then Molly Purcell, Pollock, let's take a look at this. I'm going to turn the rain back on. I'm not going to turn on the lightning because the rain, it just is too much. I'm getting rid of some of the other stuff here. And we will go to this and we will zoom out a little bit so everybody can see where the rain is. Okay, so the rain here is moving into Ohio and Switzerland counties. It's already into Ripley, moving into Dearborn. Will soon be into western Hamilton County. And how much is there out there? Well, I've got to turn on a different radar view. And we'll zoom out now. And you can see that that rain, if you look at it closely, if you look at it closely, you can see here's the heavier rainfall, but there's scattered showers. Remember we talked all week about the storm track being out of the southwest? You can see rain all the way back to south of Amarillo, Texas, here in the Panhandle. So it crosses Oklahoma, crosses Missouri, heads on into southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and heads right up the Ohio River Valley toward us. So it's the same pattern we've been talking about all week, and it looks like we don't really break this pattern until the middle of next week. And then we'll start to transition. We'll get some hot weather because of that dome, that hot dome forming. That hot dome migrates back to the west. We go into that northwesterly flow regime, which should keep us less humid, should keep us with temperatures near normal, and it should bring frequent periods of light rain with no big heavy downpours for days at a time. Okay, so I was just, I know what I need. I need to go back to Facebook. Layla Carver, is there going to be gusty winds in this? Well, there'll be a few wind gusts, but only to like 30 miles an hour, Layla. Remember, severe weather requires 57-mile-an-hour winds. 57 miles an hour is higher as severe, so it's not going to be anywhere near severe, but a little bit of a light gust. Susan Wally says, have a good weekend. Thank you. I'm off tomorrow. Meteorologist Erin Ashley's in. She'll make sure that you know everything about the weekend weather for. Elizabeth said, I have a concert Saturday night. We still, it's going to be close, Elizabeth. I don't know. My way of doing that stuff is I just make alternative plans. So if we get to the concert and there's a downpour or they call it off, that I go do something else. But you're going to have to watch the weather on Saturday and make your decision on that one. JD Havisto says, how are you doing? I'm doing fine, JD. Hope you are too. So severe weather over for the year? Nope. One of the common misconceptions that people have is that there's a severe weather season. It really isn't. There's a time of the year when it's more frequent, but we've had severe thunderstorms and tornadoes in every single month of the year here in the tri-state. They're more frequent from April into June, and they're less frequent when we get into the winter, obviously, because it's colder. But severe weather's not over for the year. I would never say that. Jeff Beachler says, working outside in this heat and humidity all day, every day is getting old. And I'm ready for cooler days and nights. And of course, snow. Yeah, that's a good thought. I wouldn't mind some snow right now either, so. Sam McMillan says, hi, hope I'm having a great day. Does he have any chance of cutting both of his lawns? I think tomorrow afternoon you might. Now, there'll still be some spotty stuff around, and if the lawn's not too wet to go on and cut it, you should be okay. But the weekend looks too dicey. I don't think there's going to be much time that's rain-free. Stan Fan Coach said, just tuned in. Any flooding in the East End? No, we have no flooding reported at all. Now, most of the time, people report the stuff to the National Weather Service, and it's very good to get almost every single one. There might be some big puddles, there might be some standing water, but no flooding reported anywhere like that. So Stan, and I hope that's accurate information because that's all of the information I have. All right. That's it. I'm off tomorrow. Meteorologist Erin Ashley's in. She'll do a great job, keep you informed about the weather for the weekend. Have yourself a nice evening. Try to stay cool. Try to stay dry when the rain's coming down. And I'll see you again on Monday at 7:15.